Hiya, and welcome to today's video in which I give my full spoiler review of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. So at this point I've seen the movie 3 times and read the screenplay once through, and that did help clear some things up because English not being my first language, I sometimes don't quite hear what characters say. As I just said, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen it and you care about spoilers, don't continue watching. However, I did go over what it's like as a movie. I'm not going over any of the story in this video right here if you want to watch it. The movie starts with Grindelwald's escape sequence from Makusa, where Spielman is really keen to get him back to Europe to answer for his crimes, but Abernathy and Grindelwald have actually switched into each other through Polyjuice potion, we assume, and Grindelwald obviously manages to escape because he has his wand. In the wand box that Abernathy apparently gives him is a chupacabra. I think it's a brilliant opening to a movie called Crimes of Grindelwald because he commits more crimes here and his previous crimes are discussed. He needs to escape for the movie to be about him, really. Then Newt is in the Ministry of Magic waiting to be interviewed, and it's really cool to see him interact with Pickett again. I managed to lose mine on the bus earlier today. I'm hoping to get that back soon. And Lita, we see a bit of their dynamic. And then Newt's interrogation from the British Ministry of Magic is perfect. It really is exactly like Newt to be saying all of those things. When Travers asks him, why would you like your travel ban to be lifted, and he says, because I like to travel internationally, it's a very new answer. And when he replies no to having the suggestion that his travel ban can be lifted if he becomes an Auror, again very Newt-like. And there's a scene where Dumbledore's persuading Newt to go to Paris. It's a really nice introduction to young Dumbledore, though he's 45, and it shows their dynamic very well. And Dumbledore's quote about, you know, I admire you, Newt. You don't seek power, you ask, is a thing right in itself. Shows us a bit more about Newt and who he really is throughout his life, not just in the 2 movies. I'm sorry, Batman is just playing with me right now. And Newt goes back home where the baby Nifflers are trying to steal everything. And they really are just there to sell toys. They might be used in future movies or maybe in cutscenes, but here they're really literally just there to sell toys. And it's not the best story development, but it does mean that the adult Niffler is then able to be helpful. And Grindelwald takes over a house in Paris, and we kind of see what he does with his acolytes for the first time. He's a bit more professional with them than Voldemort was with the Death Eaters. And then Caro kills the toddler, which I wasn't really expecting from Grindelwald because he was meant to be thoughtful in the things he does and only kill if it helps his cause. And I don't see how that did. We have the scene with Bunty, and it just kind of shows that Newt has a basement in his house, which is a menagerie as well. And it's very nice to see, though the Augury was a little bit confusing after Cursed Child. And then Jacob and Queenie are at his house, and Newt breaks the love spell, and so Queenie is angry and Jacob's angry, and Queenie decides to leave for Paris. And that sets up well for what happens at the end. And then Newt and Jacob decide to go to Paris because Queenie's left her postcard. It says that Tina's in Paris. And then we're in Paris, and Tina is at the Wizarding Circus. Nagini and Credence escape, and Skender's angry and packs the circus up and says Paris is done for us now. And Tina finds out a little bit about Credence, where we mention him again after the interrogation, and we're slowly getting back into Credence. Or Ezra Miller's character, should I say. I think every part of the movie is there for a reason, but it also feels like there are a lot of scenes cut. For example, Lita at the dancing place is definitely cut. I read somewhere that Jacob's brother Jan was meant to show up and he didn't, and I'm not sure if I read it from an official or an unofficial source, so that could have just been made up entirely. The Deluminator wasn't used in the end, even though it is at the back of the script book. I just managed to move my camera, so here's a new angle. There are a few major plot twists throughout the movie. I guess starting off with Credence still being alive, though that was quite obvious obvious from The Wisp and from how big of a fan Ezra Miller is. I was like, there's no way they're not gonna keep him. Then we have that Jacob is put under a love spell by Queenie. That's, I guess, a plot twist. And then we see Dumbledore and Grindelwald's blood pact, in which I believe Toby Regbo is holding the old Dumbledore's wand, the one that looked very similar to the Elder Wand, instead of the spirally, metally one. And there could be two reasons for this. That Dumbledore did have a wand similar to the Elder Wand when they tried to replicate it, or because Dumbledore's wand did change during filming. J.K. Rowling was like, no, that's too similar to the Elder Wand. We need to have this one, which actually interestingly has 4 runes on it, so those could mean things. So either young Dumbledore had a wand which was similar to the Elder Wand because they tried to replicate it, or Toby Regbo wasn't available for reshoots, and putting in a CGI wand would be too difficult. Then I guess the next plot twist is that Lita accidentally led to the death of her younger brother and took Credence instead. There's kind of a few plot twists because when the trailer with Yusuf Kama's hideout was released, I came to the conclusion that Ezra Miller's character is Corvus Lestrange, the 4th or 5th, and I guess that wasn't a plot twist that he's Lita's brother and Yusuf's brother to me. I didn't manage to make a video on it before everyone else did, so I just didn't. But then they double-crossed it and said, no, we don't know who he is, because Lita let Corvus go with Credence's aunt. And then another plot twist is that Queenie sides with Grindelwald, though that is kind of set up throughout the movie. And then Ezra Miller's character sides with Grindelwald. That is also set up throughout the movie. And then Lita apparently dies, though after Infinity War I've learnt not to trust that type of death because there's no way they're all dead in Infinity War. And I kind of don't believe Lita's dead. Like, even on the first viewing I was iffy about it. I'm not saying she's in the Soul Stone, I'm just saying she's not dead, I don't think. She could very well be dead, and that could be it. But I feel like there's parts of the story missing that will be difficult to find from anyone else. The second to last twist is that it is a blood pact and maybe it's possible to destroy it. And then the final twist is that Ezra Miller's character is actually called Aurelius Dumbledore. Now, the most evidence supporting that is that his name begins with an A, for him being the son of Percival and Kendra. Even the Phoenix thing, Grindelwald is a master manipulator. He can conjure up a phoenix himself out of any bed, I'm sure. And he's also lying to Ezra Miller's character to make him want to defeat Albus Dumbledore, because Credence is looking for power and family, but he's become so angry through his obscures that he cares about power almost more than family right now. Like, he does say, tell me my story, then you can end it, to Karma. But he does care about who he is, but he doesn't care about the relationships to those people, in a way. Also, their ages don't match. There's a whole bunch of dates which don't add up, and I've been trying to figure out. In the Archive of Magic, it says that Credence was born on November 9th, I believe, in 1904, but the shipwreck thing was meant to happen in 1901. So maybe he's another baby entirely, and their ages don't match up because Kendra died when Ariana was 14 and Dumbledore's 45 now. He couldn't be another Dumbledore child, and otherwise he wouldn't be Dumbledore's brother, so Grindelwald is definitely lying. The option that people are throwing around is that Ariana's Obscurus somehow found Credence as a new host. That's also an option. I'm not saying it's unlikely. I just think it's less likely than Grindelwald's just plain out lying. Also, the first thing that Grimson says to Grindelwald is she's dead. So he was sent there by Grindelwald to kill Irma and the British Ministry of Magic to kill Credence, but he's going to tell the British Ministry of Magic that he missed. But he was there to kill Irma, and Irma Dugard must have known about who Ezra Miller's character really is. What's also interesting is that throughout the screenplay, Ezra Miller's character is referred to as Credence throughout the whole thing. That could just be to not confuse readers, I guess, but I think it means he's not actually Aurelius Dumbledore. Like, him being Aurelius Dumbledore, the brother of Albus Dumbledore, does not add up. He can maybe be some sort of distant Dumbledore, but then he wouldn't be a brother. I just think he's not related to Dumbledore at all. Like, very closely. So, this story is a good one. It's a good story, it's just not as good of a movie, because it's very easy to get lost in all the characters and plots, and in a book you're able to explain those further, but in the movie it's not as easy to convey. And J.K. Rowling is more of a novelist than a screenplay writer, and even with her Harry Potter books, they got thicker as they went along. I know that Hereditary either died or retired between 3 and 4, and that's why they got so much bigger, but even before then they were getting bigger. Prisoner of Azkaban is about 100 pages longer than Philosopher's Stone. So I doubt that J.K. Rowling will actually be able to fit this story into 5 movies. I'm kind of hoping for 6, maybe 7. And already with Crimes of Grindelwald, which is number 2, there's too many stories going into one movie, and they all seem rushed, and it's hard to feel for all the characters, like Krull, who dies in the protective fire of Grindelwald. You don't really feel that emotion. Like, yes, he's there to show that people die if they're not loyal to Grindelwald and they try to cross the fire, but I'm sure he had a few deleted scenes. There seems to be so many deleted scenes in this movie that the Blu-ray extras will make it twice as long. And it just really seems like maybe J.K. Rowling isn't struggling to tell the story, but she's struggling what to keep and what to tell and what to not. And like, there's no way this is going to be just 5 movies, I think, with the way J.K. Rowling writes. I will just say this as well, that this screenplay is really, really beautiful with like wonderful illustrations, and it does help you kind of understand the movie a bit better because you can replay it through your head, especially when it's not going to be cinemas anymore, but it's before the DVD and Blu-ray release. I think this will be very useful. I think it's almost more beautiful than the original one, and I definitely recommend getting it if you can. I really enjoy the way this looks and reads. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Bye!